2009, and in which we have had a very important speakers that understand very well and that have suffered the oppression that the Chinese dictatorship has subjected its people for decades now. We had in 2009 Paulden Jatso speaking about the plight of the Tibetan people in China. In 2011 and 12, again, Yang Li speaking about the plight of the Chinese people. Rabia Kadir spoke at the Oslo Freedom Forum in 2010. And Ai Weiwei, the Chinese artist, was given the Václav Havel Prize for Creative Dissent, an honor that the Human Rights Foundation gives every year also at the Oslo Freedom Forum. Václav Havel was one of the persons that chaired the Human Rights Foundation, the second person after Armando Valladares, and currently our chairman is Gary Kasparov. I had the honor of meeting Carl at an event organized in Stockholm by civil rights defenders, the former Helsinki Committee in Stockholm, 2 years ago. I met him in the reception event where he gave a brilliant and very moving explanation telling the story of his friend in arms from the civil rights movement in the United States in the 60s, Bayard Rustin. And then the next day, at a panel, he gave a very forceful and passionate speech about how the world was remaining silent after the very likely assassination of Oswaldo Paya in Cuba. And that's when I realized that Carl Gershman is much more than simply the leader of perhaps the most important pro-democracy, pro-freedom, pro-human rights organization in the United States, but also a true and passionate human rights advocate. So again, it is a great honor for me, distinct honor, to introduce to you today Carl Gershman, President of the National Endowment for Democracy.
Thank you, Javier. And I'm told that there will be translation and that I have to speak slowly and clearly and coherently. So I'll try. Actually, you know, the time when we first met, when they showed this movie at this conference, this Human Rights Defenders Conference in Stockholm, I think, John Lee, I think it's a movie that you should consider showing to the group at some point, because it's a movie that teaches. It's an educational movie. What do you want to do?
You can grab it, maybe hold it.
You want me to hold it?
Yep. Maybe so that you...
Here? Yeah. All right. I think this movie is called Brother Outsider. Brother Outsider. And it's really a story of the life of the leading American democracy activist in the 20th century. The leading one. The person who was at the center of all the protests, all the struggles, and eventually organized the March on Washington in 1963, and then after that, having been a radical, a protester in the streets, a nonviolent activist, and it's good to study the tactics. After the success of the civil rights movement, with that march, he then did something that a lot of activists today have to learn how to do. If there ever is going to be a change in China, a lot of activists are going to have to think about changing their own role and moving from protest to politics. This is something that I'm just back last night from Ukraine. This is what the Ukrainian activists have done. They've gone into the parliament. I don't know that ever is going to happen in China. You got a long way to go. But it's good to start thinking about that now, and I think understanding the career of someone like that would be very useful. And it's actually, a very good movie. I mean, he was a very interesting person, and I think you might actually benefit. And if you want, when you do it, I'm happy to come and to talk to people, because they'll have a million questions after, which I did with the group in Sweden.